one of the things NXT did is it gave people a chance to, to be seen and to try some things.
Yeah.
And what this match is a great example of that. You have
Yeah.
Bull Dempsey versus Mojo Rawley,
All
two
right.
guys,
Yeah.
who worked hard, two guys who loved wrestling, and two guys who had varying degrees of success in NXT and WWE.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's wrestling. But both of them always worked hard, got on with both of them. They went out there and did what they had to do on that particular night. And Bull was getting some momentum at that time. It was physical. I liked it. Let me just actually look at my note what I put here. Looked like a fight with two professional wrestlers.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Which is what it should look like. Two big heavyweight wrestlers. There's different styles of wrestling. When you're a heavyweight wrestler, you've got to wrestle like a heavyweight wrestler. Well, you haven't got to, but there's flesh on flesh, and there's a lot of big physical stuff. And it was a bit of a sprint, this match.
And two big guys who could do a lot. Two big guys who could move, and two big guys who could do a lot.
Yeah, and they did what they had to do, and a good pin at the end, good tight pin, which is the final shot. Another thing about the pins, ladies and gentlemen, and anybody's watching, it most of the time is the final shot that you will see. If it's not just the match, it's the replay, and the replay is the thing that gets. If you do think something once, sometimes people haven't got time to process it in the brain. When you see a replay, it's the second time, and it's more chance of it sticking in your mind. I'll tell you this on a promo. If I tell people how to work with promos, if you're trying to get noticed, if you can say your name in the first two sentences and in the last two sentences, there's more of a chance of me or anybody else remembering it. We get marketed to 24 hours a day by something. If you're looking at this, whether you know it or not, you got Savory Conrad there, and you got ads free. And if you go out in the world, it's different companies are getting packed. Well, as a wrestler, you've got to market yourself to people, and the smart way is to do if you do everything as good as you can, then there's more chance of them showing it. If you do it that the announcers can call it and give them time to call it, sometimes that's that old thing you hear people say, slow down. Well, it's not always. It's like people say these things and they don't understand what they mean. I haven't got time to go into a big explanation on that, but if I haven't got time to see what you're doing or to see how good it is because it's too quick, or you don't give me a breather after a big sequence of moves where I can go, wow, and take it in, it's little things like that. Well, you have to market, you have to let people, things sink in. Well, the last part of a match on TV is the whatever you win with. Okay, great. You've just won. If there's a replay, which there usually always is, if you leave time for yourself, there's something on hitting time. You need to make sure you time so you don't run over your time, because it's only shows have to go off the air at a certain time.
Right.
Most of the time. So you have your allotted time. So if you hit your 1, 2, 3 right at the end of your time, they're going to go straight to the next segment. Here's a real pro trick. I hope people take this in, because I don't get to tell it too much anymore to people. If I was ever doing anything, if I had 1 minute to go, I was going home. I don't care what I had. There's nothing in my head apart from trying to get home as quickly as possible. So usually within 15 to no more than 30 seconds. And that was it didn't matter if what I was doing, if whatever the outcome of the match was, because I know if you're hitting on live TV and you hit that time and there's 45 seconds to go, they can show you the replay, which is twice that you actually beat that. If you're somebody watching at home, whether they know it or not, they've just seen you beat somebody twice. If there's more time and they see your hand getting raised, they know that you're the winner. So that's 3 times that you can actually beat somebody in one match.
Wow. That's a great way to look at
As
it.
far as mentally getting into, because
The mental picture that the
the
fans
mental,
see.
the
Mhm.
fans see is the subconscious is just taken in that last minute, hopefully a finish that means something to them, but then a replay, and if there's another replay, great. But and on the call of the replay, the announcers get to actually, because sometimes you can only just, you got to call it because it's the crescendo of a match, and it comes out fast. But if there's a replay, then you get to call it, the announcers. So there's the 3 things I just mentioned. Then on top of that, with the replays, the announcers get to actually call the moves going in at a slower pace sometimes, which makes it slowly sink into the person at home who's watching's brain. And then if they see another replay or they see your hand getting raised, they know that that's the winner. So you are slowly getting into people's subconscious, whether you know it or not. I used to do loads of little tricks like that. I have spent most of my career getting beat. Why do people care about me now? There's a million reasons why you can say, oh, it's because of this, because of that, because of that. I learned all these little tricks, and most of the time I was getting beat. And I'd make sure that, so boom, 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 I would do the right thing to do that. And then I was leaving, because of the way I knew that my facials, 9 times out of 10, not only would the person in the ring get their replay and the referee's hand held up, I would be walking out slowly, looking back at them, wagging my finger.
Right.
I'm going to get you next time.
Right.
Which is all movie stuff.
Mhm.
The bad guy leaves, but I'm coming. I'm going to get you.
Show business.
Or show business.
Mhm.
There's too many people now about the show and not about the business.
You're
And understanding how to get into, doing a lot of stuff. But it's nobody's fault because nobody's ever explained it to them. Well, I'm going to try and explain to it. So if you can do that and hit your time and go, so you're not running overtime, because that's not going to help you either. But if you smack on your time, they're going to go right to the next thing. You beat that person once. If you want to beat that person, or you want people to see how many times you've beaten them, get a replay. You need extra time for that. You need to leave extra time. If you want to get your hand raised, show them with the hand raised. There's 3 times that you've beat somebody in one match, or 3 times that an audience member has got at home to see that you've beat that person. They may see all 3. They may only see 1 because they may be blinking, or they may be just turning to have a quick sip of drink because the 1, 2, 3's happened. You've got to try and make an impression slowly but surely. Whenever you're given TV time, you have to maximize your seconds. And that is a great way of maximizing your seconds. On top of that, you have the announcers calling the replay for a second time, telling them how good you are or how great you are, whatever it is they need to tell you about them. And then you move on to the next segment, and you've marketed yourself a lot easier to your audience to understand, to remember you.
That's such great advice, because you would think a young wrestler would think, I've got this much time, so I have this much time to do this. But you're saying, like in music, we call it headroom, like you leave some volume to use later.
Yeah.
And you're saying it's actually better for your career to go in under your time, because then you have time for everybody to put it over and to say, hey, look at this replay and look at that replay.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and we've got something.
And so you're being flashed 3 times or twice, or, 1 win, 2 win, replay, announcers telling me again. And it's all how you slowly sink into people's. Everybody's is different. Some people can just make a splash in this world, but most people, it's because of time, or maximizing the time,
and
or
repetition.
or
Right.
something. Because don't think because you've been on TV that you all of a sudden you're over. Being on TV once, or beating somebody 50 weeks in a row doesn't mean that you're over if you're not doing the right things. If you're doing the little extra things that can help, unless you are somebody like a Bill Goldberg, who's a phenomenon, right? If you are somebody like Bill and you look like Bill and you have that killer thing about him, and you're getting the run that he had, then you get, and that's why he's still as
Right.
popular today as he ever was.
But those are rare.
They're rare people,
Yeah.
very rare people, right? And that's not even Steve Austin. Steve Austin had to go out and pound away and pound away and pound away, and then he became to where he did. And The Rock, you know, it's short, but boom, 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 boom. Bill's like a rare exception of that, where it was just bang, whoa, and it was a huge thing, and he's still as popular today. But they're rare. So for normal people like us, it's whatever time you get is just putting your time in. It's going out on the shows and giving the fans everything. But there's these little things that can help you. If you get on TV, is getting if you're giving yourself the chance for people to see that you're actually beating somebody. It might be your win streak might matter. You hear people saying win streaks matter, and there's another thing that people say, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're not. Yes, it does matter for some people about winning, and then other people it doesn't matter about any. Right? I'm going to use Ric Flair as a better example. Apart from when he won a championship, Ric Flair lost all the time.
He was constantly getting beat up all the
Right,
time. Ric Flair
right.
was getting beat all the time.
But he's Ric Flair.
I mean, how many times do you see the figure four
Right.
win a match, really?
Right.
You know?
He's Ric Flair. Right. I'm a nobody. He's Ric Flair. I'm a nobody. Why do people care about me nowadays? I know what I am. I am a journeyman wrestler. It was just a bit part of a show. There's loads of things that you can, but I knew these little things, or I was taught them, and slowly but surely, you end up sticking in the back of people's heads, and that's just me, and I'm nothing, and that's just me being able to, you know, if I got a win or whatever, to do a stupid thing at the end of it and push my bicep up when I was in WCW.
Right.
Something that made you focus in and go, what is this idiot doing?
Yeah. Right.
Right. Whatever it may be, everybody has their own tricks, but that is one thing that I can definitely give you is if you just run up to, and it's a live show, you run up to your time and you use all that time up with movement, and it's just 1, 2, 3. You've on a bit. You're cutting your legs off as far as staying in the audience's memory, unless you're under the illusion that you are that special person that you only need that one time. I'm telling you this, you're probably not, because there's they're rare exceptions, right? So it's just little tricks to keep going.
Well, we've got some rare exceptions coming up. We have a debut coming up.